Hey everyone, let's explore a short but powerful poem called "A Slumber Did My Spirit Seal." It's by William Wordsworth, and you'll find it in your 9th grade Beehive textbook. It's about losing someone and how nature can help us heal. This video will break down the poem, looking at what it means and the tools Wordsworth uses. We'll talk about nature, loss, metaphors, and imagery. By the end, you'll see how Wordsworth's words create a really moving experience. Let's dive in. William Wordsworth was a super important poet from England. He lived a long time ago and really loved nature. He believed nature had a big impact on us, and he was part of a group called the Romantics. Romantic poets wrote about feelings and the beauty of nature. They believed in the power of imagination. Wordsworth's poems often explore love, loss, and remembering things. He found comfort in nature. Knowing about Wordsworth helps us understand his poem better. The first part of the poem shows us the speaker's feelings, which are deeply intertwined with a sense of profound loss and detachment from the world around them. The imagery used in the poem evokes a sense of being enveloped in a dreamlike state, where reality and time seem to blur. This sets the tone for the rest of the poem, inviting us to explore the depths of the speaker's emotions and the impact of their experiences. "A slumber did my spirit seal, I had no human fears." These lines suggest that the speaker has entered a state of deep sleep, both physically and emotionally. This slumber acts as a protective barrier, sealing their spirit away from the fears and anxieties that typically plague human existence. The use of the word seal implies a sense of finality and closure, as if the speaker has been cut off from the world of the living. The speaker feels numb, like they're in a deep sleep. This numbness is not just a physical sensation, but also an emotional one, indicating a profound sense of detachment and disconnection from their surroundings. The imagery of lying down amidst tall grass or resting under a tree in a serene forest further emphasizes this sense of peace and isolation, as if the speaker has found solace in nature's embrace. They don't feel scared anymore. This lack of fear is significant, as it suggests that the speaker has come to terms with their situation and has found a sense of acceptance. The calm expression on their face and the relaxed figure in nature reinforce this idea, portraying a sense of inner peace and tranquility that comes from letting go of fear and embracing the present moment. This makes us think something sad has happened. The contemplative nature of the solitary figure sitting on a rock by a river or looking thoughtful in a quiet meadow suggests a moment of reflection and introspection. It hints at a deeper underlying sadness that the speaker is grappling with, perhaps related to a significant loss or a life-changing event that has left a lasting impact on their spirit. The next two lines tell us about the person they lost, shedding light on the source of the speaker's sorrow and the depth of their emotional connection to the lost loved one. The imagery of two people walking in a forest or holding hands at sunset evokes a sense of companionship and shared moments, highlighting the bond that once existed between the speaker and the person they mourn. She seemed a thing that could not feel the touch of earthly years. These lines elevate the lost loved one to an almost ethereal status, suggesting that she has transcended the physical realm and is no longer subject to the passage of time. The use of the word thing implies a transformation, as if she has become something otherworldly and untouchable. The imagery of an ethereal figure in the woods or a woman standing still in a sunlit glade reinforces this sense of otherworldliness and timelessness. The speaker sees their loved one as beyond time and aging. This perception reflects the speaker's deep reverence and admiration for the lost loved one, viewing her as a timeless and eternal presence. The serene figure gazing into the distance or standing in an open field at dusk symbolizes this sense of timelessness and the enduring impact she has on the speaker's life and memories. Earthly years shows us the separation between the living and the dead. This phrase underscores the divide between the temporal world of the living and the eternal realm of the dead. The contrast between a lively forest and a quiet cemetery, with the light filtering through trees and casting shadows, visually represents this separation, highlighting the transient nature of life and the enduring presence of those who have passed on. The poem invites us to reflect on the nature of loss, memory, and the ways in which we cope with the absence of loved ones. The second part shifts focus to the stillness and tranquility of nature, a stark contrast to the bustling life we often lead. No motion has she now, no force. The calmness of the water and the stillness of the butterfly symbolize a state of peace and rest. She neither hears nor sees. The forest and meadow, untouched and undisturbed, reflect a sense of eternal rest. The speaker accepts that their loved one is physically gone. No movement, no senses. The wilted flowers and fallen leaves are poignant reminders of the cycle of life and death. The loved one is no longer part of the world of the living. The gravestone and setting sun signify the end of a journey, a final resting place. The last lines are powerful, evoking a sense of unity with the natural world. The dramatic clouds and the trees' bark symbolize the enduring presence of nature. Rolled round in Earth's diurnal course, the imagery of the sunrise and sunset and the changing sky reflect the passage of time and the continuous cycle of life, with rocks and stones and trees. The close-up of rocks and stones and the swaying trees emphasize the connection between the loved one and the natural elements. The poem ends with a picture of the loved one becoming part of nature. The picturesque landscape, with its mix of rocks, trees, and flowing river, illustrates the harmony and unity of all living things. The earth keeps spinning, and the loved one is now part of that. The rotating earth and the moving stars remind us of the vastness of the universe and the eternal cycle of life and death. Section 5. Nature's Embrace, Theme of Nature. Nature is a big deal in A Slumber Did My Spirit Seal. Wordsworth uses nature to explore life and death. The poem suggests that death isn't the end but a change. The loved one becomes part of the earth, going back to nature. This connection to nature comforts the speaker. Section 6. The Pain of Loss, Theme of Loss. This poem is also about losing someone. The speaker's numbness shows us how raw their grief is. But the poem goes from sadness to acceptance. The speaker finds peace knowing their loved one is now part of something bigger. Section 7. Literary device, metaphor and imagery. Wordsworth uses literary tools to make the poem powerful. Metaphor, he uses slumber as a metaphor for death. This comparison shows how peaceful the loved one is now. Imagery. The poem has strong images. Rolled round in Earth's diurnal course creates a clear picture of nature's ongoing cycle. Section 8. Conclusion, a lasting impression. A Slumber Did My Spirit Seal is short but powerful. Wordsworth's exploration of nature, loss and acceptance still connects with people today. The poem teaches us that death is a natural part of life. It also reminds us that nature can be comforting. Section 9. Quiz. This is the moment to test your understanding and see how well you've grasped the material. Pay close attention to each question and think carefully before you answer. Remember, this quiz is designed to challenge your comprehension and analytical skills. Let's see what you've learned. Take your time and consider each option. Discuss with your peers if needed, but make sure your final answer is your own. This is a great opportunity to reflect on what you've studied and to demonstrate your knowledge. 1. What's the main theme of the poem? Is it A. Love, B. Nature and loss, or C. Happiness? Think about the overall message and the emotions conveyed through the verses. The theme is the central idea that ties the poem together, so consider the poet's intent and the imagery used. 2. What literary device is A Slumber Did My Spirit Seal? Is it A. Simile, B. Metaphor, or C. Personification? Literary devices are tools that poets use to enhance their writing and convey deeper meanings. Think about how this phrase affects the reader's understanding of the poem. A. Simile, B. Metaphor, C. Personification. Each of these devices serves a different purpose in literature. A simile compares two things using like or as. A metaphor makes a direct comparison, and personification gives human qualities to non-human things. Which one fits best here? 3. How does the speaker feel in the first stanza? Is the speaker A. angry, B. numb, or C. joyful? The speaker's emotions set the tone for the poem and influence how the reader interprets the events described. Pay attention to the language and imagery used to convey these feelings. A. angry, B. numb, C. joyful. Emotions in poetry are often complex and layered. Consider the context and the specific words chosen by the poet to express the speaker's state of mind. This will help you determine the most accurate answer. 4. What happens to the loved one in the second stanza? Is it A, she is reborn, B, she becomes part of nature, or C, she's forgotten? The fate of the loved one is a crucial element of the poem's narrative. Reflect on the imagery and symbolism used to describe her transformation. B, she becomes part of nature. C, she is forgotten. The poet's choice of words and images can provide clues about the intended meaning. Think about how the loved one's fate relates to the overall theme and message of the poem. Think carefully. Good luck. This quiz is not just a test of memory, but an exercise in critical thinking and interpretation. Use what you've learned to make informed choices, and don't be afraid to trust your instincts. You've got this.